Welcome to the Unabridged podcast. I'm Ashley.
And this is Jen.
Join us for bookish episodes and check out our website, unabridgedpod.com, where you can find lots of new bookish content to grow your TBR.
Sign up for our newsletter to find out more about online book discussions and upcoming events. Find us on Patreon for extra Unabridged content. Join us on Instagram and Facebook at unabridgedpod and message us there or see our website to get plugged into the Unabridged community. You want opinions about books? We've got them.
Hi, and welcome to Unabridged. This is episode 304. Happy New Year. This episode, we are discussing our 2026 Unabridged podcast reading challenge. So we'll talk a little bit about what we discussed for last year with reading challenges and then looking ahead a little bit. And then we will also dive into what our Unabridged podcast one looks like for 2026. Before we get into that discussion, we'd like to do our bookish check-in. Jen, what are you reading?
So I just started Julia Alvarez's The Cemetery of Untold Stories, and this has been on my shelf for a little while. So I actually received an ARC of this and have the ALC from Libro FM. I am listening currently. This one is about an author, Alma Cruz, and she has been a pretty successful author. You know, she has not found great fame, but she has had a successful career. But she has decided that she is ready to retire from writing. And as many authors do, she has all of these stories that she did not finish. And she had a friend, this is actually how the book began. She had a friend who was a quite famous and successful author who had one story that somehow she could never get written. And it literally made her insane. And Alma had kept telling her, you know, you need to write it down, even if it's not perfect. The stories that you repress will come back against you in some way. And the woman could just never write it. So Alma does not want this to happen to her. So she inherits land in Dominican Republic, and she decides that she is going to literally build a cemetery for the stories that she started but never finished. And so every unfinished book has its own little plot. And what happens is, I'm still pretty early in this part, but the stories start telling themselves. So there's a woman, Filomena, who Alma hires to be a caretaker of this cemetery. And in order to access the cemetery, there's this little box and you have to speak a story into it. And when you speak your story or, you know, the story you want to tell, it then opens the gate and lets you in. And Filomena starts hearing the stories that are untold. Anyway, so I think it's such a beautiful idea. And I think Alvarez's writing is always it's not showy, but it's so beautiful. The audio is really working for me, but I do think I might dip into the print a little bit just because there's something about seeing her work on the page that I really love. But yeah, so far it's great. So that is Julia Alvarez's The Cemetery of Untold Stories.
Oh, that sounds beautiful, Jen. I love her, but I haven't read any of her stuff in a while.
Yeah, this is my first in a long time, too. And I know we saw her at a local college, at Bridgewater College. And I just think she's a wonderful person. It's always nice when the authors that you get to see back up the wonder that is their books. So she's definitely one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
So what are you reading?
We're recording a little bit early, so I'm still reading some holiday books. I'm reading Rowan Parrish's The Holiday Trap. Have you heard of that, Jen?
It sounds familiar.
Okay, so this involves a house swap, and it is two protagonists, Truman and Greta. And they have a mutual friend. Truman lives in New Orleans, and Greta lives up in a tiny, small town in Maine. But they have a mutual friend who lives in New Orleans. But goes to school with Greta is how they got to know each other as she goes to school up in Portland. And so Truman, when we first encounter him, he has just discovered that his longtime boyfriend, a year and a half or something, that he has a family. Like he has a husband, a kid. Truman suddenly realizes that their relationship is completely different, obviously, than what he thought it was. He had no idea that was going on. And then he is both heartbroken, but also kicking himself that he can't believe he didn't realize this unbelievable thing was happening. And then it's there were all these signs, right, that he completely ignored that he feels he should have realized. So he's heartbroken. They're coming up on the holidays. And he's just reeling from this realization and also from, I mean, just a lot of self-judgment, right? And just working his way through that and trying to figure out what to do. But he has this giant Great Dane horse. And so he is wanting to get away, but he's like, I can't leave my precious dog. So then on the other end, up in Maine, Greta is really close to her family. They all live on this tiny island town together. And she's close to them. She has several siblings. She has a twin. I think there are 4 or 5 sisters. And then her parents, all of them get together all the time. They're always spending time together. But right at the beginning, her mom and her, I think it was her older sister, like they had this town event and they suck Greta into being like auctioned off for a date night. So they are completely ignoring everything about her. She's appalled on a million levels of this. She is a lesbian. They know that. They're expecting a guy to do the date night. And, you know, of course, I mean, she's also obviously like against this whole idea of like raising money by auctioning people off. Okay. So there's like a lot of egregious things that have happened. She's really upset, but they're very dismissive of her being upset. And so she's kind of like, oh my gosh, I've got to get away from this. Well, she has all of these plants and they're all over her house and she just absolutely loves them. But they have taken over. So she has all these humidifiers that have to be turned on and off. And she's gotten really into carnivorous plants specifically. So she has this one area that is for the carnivorous plants, which are delicate and require a lot of care. And so she's like, I can never go anywhere because I have these plants and I've got to take care of my plants. So the mutual friend is like, oh my gosh, both of your lives are falling apart. You both need to get away. You should do a house swap. So that is the premise, is she convinces Greta and Truman, who don't know each other, to switch and for him to take care of the plants and for Greta to take care of the dog and for them to just take a month-long hiatus from their own lives and go house sit for the other person. And they both have jobs where they can do that. It's just like convincing them to make the change and then, you know, seeing what happens. So, I mean, I'm loving it. I came across this, like, I think I was just looking on Libby to just see what was available. And I had no idea if it would be any good, but I'm really enjoying it. So I think I like the premise of those kinds of things where it's like you take a kind of capsule situation and you like put them somewhere else and then you see what happens. Like, I think all that's interesting. So I'm enjoying the way it unfolds. So again, that's Roan Parrish's The Holiday Trap.
Oh, that sounds really good.
So now we're moving on to our main discussion. We really want to talk a little bit about reflecting on our 2025 reading year, and then we're going to be looking toward 2026, what we're doing personally, and also what we'll be doing with Unabridged. Jen, what are your thoughts about 2025?
So I had cut down on the number of challenges to which I was committing because I get so compulsive about it that sometimes it's a real stressor. And I'm always like, why am I doing this to myself? I do not need to be stressed about meeting these challenges that are supposed to be fun and, you know, enriching. But if they're causing stress and anxiety, that's bad. So the ones that I had committed to, and I did finish all of them, were our podcast challenge, the Tournament of Books, and Camp TOB. And then that had a little twist that I'll talk about in a minute. And 25 backlist in 2025. And I really liked that mix. I feel like I always love our reading challenge, of course. And we do a lot of that reading for the podcast. So that is not usually adding anything on that I wouldn't already be reading. The backlist book challenge I've done for several years. I plan to do it again next year because I just have so many books that I really am eager to read. But sometimes that lure of the new and shiny, or I'll put things on hold at the library. And that means I'm never choosing the books that are on my shelf. So I'll do that again. And then I love Tournament of Books. I've talked about that one often. Camp TOB is the competition that they have in the summer, and that has gotten bigger. And then this year they did a Halloween pop-up that happened very quickly. And I read a couple for that, but I just decided not to be stressed about it. And I just was like, I will read what I can. And it was interesting to follow, but I didn't get through all of those. And I just decided that I would be okay with it. And so I was. You know, that's always an effort for me. And then I do get pulled into a lot of those monthly challenges on Instagram. And so some of those are fun, but I feel like they're not as stressful as the ones that I make the big commitment to. And a lot of times the reading that I'm already doing can meet those. I will say in the newsletter, I kind of had a back and forth with like, I hate reading challenges. Oh, wait, I love them again. Oh, wait, I hate them again. And so it's always interesting to see, depending on how my reading and life are going, how I'm feeling about that pressure I exert on myself. But anyway, just a little neurotic over here.
I love that reflection. And I think that's exactly it, is like, yeah, enjoying them as a way to enrich your reading life without letting them take over or cause a lot of stress is sometimes tricky.
Yeah. How about you? How do you feel about the challenges you took on for 2025?
Well, I've just had to make peace with the fact that 2025 was not a great reading year for me, and that's okay. I think we have those years. I did well with Unabridged, but like Jen said, we often read things that are related for our book club, or, we try to do things to help. If you're listening and reading along with us, we're trying to help you complete the challenge. So that felt really good, and I was enjoying that. M. Judson is our local bookstore, and I love them, but I really did not do much of anything with their challenge. So I'll be curious to see what their challenge is for 2026. Again, we're recording a little bit early, and they post kind of after the new year. So we're just a little before the new year right now. And I definitely will take a look and see what it looks like for this year. But I also am just hoping to, I think more than signing up for official challenges outside of our own, I think what I'd really like this year is to be a little bit more intentional about what I'm reading per month and grounding myself in incorporating some of these books I've really want. I mean, kind of what you were saying about your backlist, Jen. Not necessarily like what's on my shelf, but just taking time to look at what books do I really want to get to, and then how can I fit them in, instead of kind of feeling totally haphazard about how I'm reading, which is definitely how I've been reading lately. So I'm excited for that, but I think it'll definitely be more a personal reflection approach of like, what is working in my reading life and what could I do better than signing up for a lot of official stuff, which I feel good about.
Yeah, I feel like we always go back and forth on this every year. It's like if we looked back over our reading challenge episodes, it would be interesting to see.
That's true. Well, and I think you're exactly right that like there is just a tension there of it being helpful and not discouraging, because we all know as readers that we need to make sure we're doing stuff that doesn't discourage us from reading, because that is like really hard, and that can happen if you get too bogged down and feeling like you're not doing what you wanted to accomplish. That can be hard and can really like get you into a bit of a slump. So yeah, for me, it's like, okay, I was in grad school a lot of 2025. And now that I've finished that, I'm excited to have more time, but I do want to spend more time just being intentional, I think, about like what I want to read. And I think that would feel really good. So we wanted to share our Unabridged challenge specifically. So if you follow us online or you're on our newsletter, you might have already seen, but we want to make sure that we take a little bit of time. We always like to just invite everyone to participate and make sure that you know what the categories are. So we're going to talk a little bit through that now. If you would like more information about our challenge, you can go to our website, unabridgedpod.com. You can click in the show notes, and there will be a link to this year's challenge. But there is a page that has all of the information for the 2026 challenge. Jen, do you want to talk a little bit about what the categories are this year?
Sure. So here are our categories: book from a favorite author's backlist, memoir by a trans author, book by an Asian American Pacific Islander author, book about the environment, book from an awards list, book published in the year of your birth, work in translation, work adapted into an award-winning film or television series, book about an animal, middle grade graphic novel, work of YA history or historical fiction, and nonfiction audiobook. So those are our 12 categories. We do make an effort to, as Ashley was saying, to pick book club or buddy read picks that will help you to meet these categories. So if you want to follow along in this next year, Instagram is a great place to find that, or again, on our website, unabridgedpod.com. And sometimes you can read along with us, and we'll read books that meet these categories. Our book club pick for January actually helps you to meet book from an awards list. So we try to give you experiences that will help you to check these off. But yeah, hopefully they're fun. There's some variety there, and there's still some choice. So like book about an animal can be fiction or nonfiction. There's some great books out there that the animal narrates, or it can be a study of the animal. So just that one in particular, so many of them, you can go in a lot of different directions. So hopefully it still will fit the reading that you're already doing.
I love those. I'm excited for this year's challenge.
I am too. I need to start researching books from the year of my birth because, 76, I'm like, that feels like a long time away when I say it like that.
Right. Same. I'm like, oh gosh, I better find something. That one I better take on early. Mine's 81. And same that I'm like, oh, I need to do some reflecting and find something that I would like. I think one year we did like pre-2000. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like I tried a couple that were not the right fit before I found one that was. So yeah, it's a good challenge. Well, we hope that you will join us for the Unabridged podcast reading challenge this year. It's very low stakes and inviting, but like Jen said, it also is fun, and there is a community element that can help you come along with us on that journey. We'd also be interested to hear what other challenges you're doing this year. You can always let us know about that at Instagram at UnabridgedPod, because we'd be happy to hear. But today we're going to end with our Lit Chat game.
All right, so today's question is, what book do you associate most with your high school experience, your college experience?
I think that for me, I would go with what came to mind immediately was Zora Neale Hurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God. I adore that book, but I did read that in AP Lit in high school, and then I also read it in a college class and did a pretty extensive research study related to that. So I think that comes to my mind as being something that was just a transformative book for me that I really, really loved, felt really impacted my reading life. And it's one that I went on to teach myself with lots of classes. And I think found that it was equally enriching for other students. What about you, Jen? What book comes up for you?
First, I want to say I love that book, but I didn't read it till after school. So yeah, I read that one on my own, which makes me a little sad. But so for high school, the book that popped into my mind first was The Great Gatsby. That was the first of many times that I have read that book. And I really loved it then, even though now looking back, it's about someone turning 30. And so parts of it, I'm like, how did this resonate with me at that time? But anyway, and then my college experience, the thing that popped into my mind is Leslie Marmon Silko's Ceremony, because I did my honors project on Silko, and that was the book that made me fall in love with her work. So I have distinct memories of reading that one over and over and just noticing something new every time. So I really love that.
Oh, yes. And I did not realize it could be two different books, but
it
just came to my mind. I hadn't read Cormac McCarthy until college, so for sure, Cormac McCarthy was very impactful for me in college. It's an author I've gone on to very much love and to teach and, to come back to many, many times. But I think The Blood Meridian is probably the one that was the most impactful for me first with McCarthy. But yeah, when I think about college separate from high school, that is one that comes up for me.
Yeah, I also found him after school on my own.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you enjoyed listening, and we are so excited to do another year of a reading challenge with you. We hope that your 2026 reading life is getting off to a great start, and we'd love to hear more about it on Instagram at UnabridgedPod. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you. Do you have comments or opinions about what you heard today? We'd love to hear them. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at UnabridgedPod, or on the web at unabridgedpod.com for ways to support us. To get more involved, you can sign up for our newsletter, join a buddy read, or become an ambassador. Thanks for listening to Unabridged.